Hi team, welcome to week 5 of your nutrition program with me, Coach Chicken Legs. Today we talk about the most dreaded of all the macronutrients, the vegetable, everyone's least favorite. Let's begin. So team, from last week, you should have a better understanding of your carbohydrates, what kinds of carbohydrates you like, and how much of them you're meant to be having roughly in a day. You should have found that some carbohydrates keep you fuller for longer, and you should find that some carbohydrates give you a big burst of energy, but then make you crash quickly after ingesting them. You should also have identified what your biggest hurdle is, the thing that's getting in your way the most disruptive habit, and we should have troubleshooted a little bit on how we can start working ourselves around that habit. And you may have used your 4-quadrant sheet on some of your carbohydrates or other foods that you've been ingesting. So you might be learning a little bit more about general nutrition and things to keep an eye out whilst making nutritional decisions. So this is a fantastic week, team, because the more we know about vegetables, the easier they are to understand and the more sense it makes of why we need to ingest them in the amounts that we often do. There are 3 main macronutrients: proteins that we've covered, carbohydrates that we've covered, and fats that is next week. With those, their sisters are the micronutrients. So macro means very, very large or big, and micro means small. So some micronutrients are just elements, they're just minerals, they're just vitamins, they're very, very simple 1 or 2 molecule based chemicals. When we're thinking about macro versus micronutrient, I want you to think about a car. The macronutrients are stuff like the body, the door, the bonnet, the wheels, the boot. Well, micronutrients are all the little things inside the car that you don't really think about. So the wiring, the screws that are holding the wheels in, the spark plugs, the ignition key, the smaller things that help the car run, but they don't jump out at us as much as the macronutrients do, as the seats of the car do. They're no less important for the car, they're just not really on our mind as much, or they don't do as bigger things. They do lots of little things. Some micronutrients, your gut biome and gut health, your wound healing ability, blood clotting, muscle contraction, bone growth, your nerve operation, how quickly your nerves can fire. There are micronutrients called sodium and potassium. They're responsible for action potential, which is just the process of shooting messages to muscles to allow for movement. In fact, micronutrients do so much for us that if we were to talk about them all in a video, it could take up to an hour. So I've made you a little bit of a cheat sheet. So on the list of things I send you this week, you'll have all your vitamins and your minerals, or the main ones we're going to be concerned with, in a list. It will say what they are and roughly what they do. If you're interested, it's a fantastic read, okay? But we're not going to deep dive that deeply into our micronutrients because it's too much headache. It's too much to think about when we're trying to dissect all those different micronutrients. What we're going to look at instead is how can we get the majority, if not all of those micronutrients without having to think about it too much. When we're looking at the science of vitamins and minerals, vitamins are broken down into water-soluble and fat-soluble. Water-soluble means that micronutrient will dissolve in water. So when it hits the bloodstream, it will dissolve. Then there are fat-soluble vitamins and minerals that when attached to fats, they too will dissolve. Again, not something you need to know massively, but it's interesting food for thought to know how these things work within your body. Minerals also get broken down into major trace minerals and minor trace. Major ones are the ones we need large amounts of. Think calcium, think potassium, things that are very, very vital for human function. And then there's smaller things like iron and zinc that we don't need as much of, but we do source regardless from our foods. So the goal here is to try to get all those vitamins and minerals within us without putting up too much energy into thinking about what each of those minerals do and vitamins do in any great detail. Luckily for us, there's a little bit of a cheat code to be able to sneak all of these in. What we're going to do is we're going to write down the 5 different colors that vegetables are. We have green vegetables, white vegetables, red vegetables, orange vegetables, and purple vegetables. Now, one of the key things we're gonna do, is I want you to do at home, is if you can write down 2 items, 2 vegetables or fruits that you like from each of those colors. How do we know what color a vegetable is? That might sound like a strange question, But if I was to ask you what color an apple is when we're thinking about the 5 colors of vegetables, what color do you think it is? Some of you might have said it's red, but in reality, it's actually white. When I look inside the fruit, notice the inside of it's mainly white. So we always count the vegetable or fruit as whatever the inside color is. So when I'm looking at my colors, green vegetables and fruits can come under green beans, lettuce, you might like Brussels sprouts, you might like celery, whatever. On your sheet at home, write down what green colored vegetable you like. We have white vegetables. These ones are a bit easier. Potatoes are white vegetables. Most fruits are white vegetables. These things are commonly found, but write down your 2 that you like the most of your white vegetables. Then we have our red vegetables like tomatoes and capsicums. I want you to write down 1 item that is red that you like, that you would eat. Now, that might be tomato, it could be capsicum, or it could be a red vegetable that you like yourself. We have orange vegetables and fruits. Now, you have oranges, we have mandarins, we have sweet potatoes, we have pumpkins. These things are all orange. I want you to write down 1 orange fruit or vegetable that you enjoy, and then we'll add it to your list. And finally, purple. Purple is by far the most challenging for people because there's only a couple of purple vegetables that really pop up. So things like blueberries, the inside of them is purple. So we count it as a purple vegetable. Purple cabbage counts as a purple vegetable. Or eggplant is a purple vegetable. There are such things as purple carrots if you'd believe it. So purple is usually where people have the most struggle. So usually we use eggplant, blueberry, and purple cabbage. If I managed to get 1 serving a day of each of the colors, that would cover me for almost all my vitamins and minerals. So for this week, what I want you to do is I'm going to send you your exact vegetable amount that I'd ask you to eat each day. And you're going to try your very best to try to get at least 1 serving size of each of the colors. Now remember, a serving size for vegetables is a fist. Where this gets tricky, team, is that carbs and vegetables cross over. So you may have noticed that potatoes are both in our carbohydrate video and our vegetable video. So let's say I needed you to have 2 servings of vegetables. You could count your potato towards both your carbohydrate servings and your vegetable servings. If you're somebody who has issues with appetite and has trouble eating a lot, this is an easy way to try to get all of the things you need in a day without overeating or feeling like you're stuffed all the time. Because I can knock off vegetables as well as carbs. If I'm a weight loss client and I'm trying to lose some weight and I find that I have a very, very healthy appetite or very, very intense appetite, I can rely off some of the vegetables that aren't starchy or sugary. So beans, cabbages, lettuces, anything that doesn't have sweetness or starchiness associated with it, and I can eat large quantities of them because they don't have very high calorie levels. They're very, very nutritionally dense, but they themselves aren't very calorie dense. So it's a very good trick when you're trying to lose weight, is that normally you can't eat enough vegetables provided that they're not sugary or starchy. So you can stay full for a long period of time without having to overeat in the calorie department. Vegetables and fruits are also really important for water retention. So if you imagine cooking spinach, as soon as it hits the pan, it shrivels up very, very quickly because they all hold a lot of water in them. We usually get about 1 litre a day from our vegetables and foods as far as our hydration. So they're very important for our hydration goals. If you're getting 3 litres a day of drunken water, you'll get an extra litre from your fruits and vegetables. So getting hydration from our fruits and vegetables is a really good thing and an easy way for people to increase their water intake. So team, fruits that we're going to discuss now are sugary. So we mentioned that some fruits count both as vegetable and as carbohydrate. Well, that's because they're high in natural sugars. 1 can of Coke holds 40 grams of sugar. For me to get 40 grams of sugar out of grapes, I would need to have about 40 grapes. The average grape holds about 1 gram of sugar. So those two things are not built equal. I can drink a lot more Coke than I can eat grapes. The difference between the two is that obviously within grapes, they are more nutritionally rich as well as calorie rich. These are very good things for people who are bodybuilders who are trying to eat a lot of food and get their calories up very, very high, or someone who needs to increase their weight quickly. We can use high sugary fruits to both get our nutrition and also our carbohydrate intake up. However, we might be avoiding them to an extent if we're trying to lose weight because it's easy for them to give us more calories than we might be ready for. Now, our starchy vegetables are usually very, very calorie rich and nutritionally rich. They keep you full for a long time, they help you with energy for a long time, and they're also giving you a really good diversity in your nutritional spectrum. So something I would lean on heavier, usually if I'm a weight loss client, because they keep me full and they provide energy. Now, stuff like our capsicums, our beans, and our purple cabbage, these are all fibrous vegetables. These don't provide much calorie density, but they're very nutritionally rich. So they're very, very good at providing those vitamins and minerals. They're also crucial to making up your gut biome in your stomach. So as these things are digested, they're not digested overly well, and they start to ferment inside your GI tract, and they become the gut biome that helps you with your immune system. These will help you pass food, so it's really good for your stools. Or a healthy gut is a great sign of immune health and physical health. So when we eat stuff that is more fibrous, although it doesn't contribute much to our calories, it's very good for our micronutrients and our gut biome. Very good cheat code if you want to lose weight and stay full is rely heavier on your fibrous vegetables because they don't contribute much to your calorie intake, but they do contribute very much to your fullness, your feeling of being full. I'm going to give you another tool. One of the tools you keep in your nutritional toolbox, one that you'll get out quite regularly, and another tool that you'll find is very, very helpful to help you long lasting after this program is done. Similar to the good, better, best, this saying is its sister saying, another one that you'll bring out all the time. So, these dynamite sayings you will use all the time. Very, very helpful. We already know our good, better, best. Good, better, and best. You've probably used good, better, best quite often already, and is by far one of the most useful of the toolbox sayings that we have. This one will come up in your everyday to-day life. I use good, better, best every day. Its sister saying is ready, willing, and able. Now, ready, willing, able is not something you'll use every day, but we use it when we're trying to make benchmarks or goals for our nutrition and our health. If I'm trying to think of a goal or I'm trying to think of a task I want to complete, I run it through my ready, willing, and able nutritional lens. How does it work? If I said to myself, I'm going to start running more to help me lose weight, and I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and run every morning for the next 2 weeks. That's my goal. 2 weeks of running at 5 a.m. in the morning. Now, I have to run that through my ready, willing, able to see if I'm setting myself up for failure. When we want success long term, we need lots of little wins to help us achieve our bigger goal. So if this goal doesn't line up with my ready, willing, and able, it's probably the wrong level to start trying to go towards. Am I ready to start getting up at 5 a.m. every morning to go for my run? Well, no. You might have work that starts at 6, so it might not be reasonable. You might have family commitments. You might work late into the afternoons. You might have a reason why that 5 a.m. start is no good for you. You might be very willing. You might be absolutely eager to be able to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start running. Or you might be not willing to get up at that time because you're someone who likes to sleep in, or someone whose circadian rhythms don't line up with early morning starts. You might not physically be able to start these things. Let's say that, for example, with the running, you might not have a rolled ankle. You might have a kid that keeps you up early in the morning and requires your attention at that time. So this goal might not be suited for a specific type of person. However, you might be absolutely ready to get up at 5 a.m. You've got your shoes, you've got your shorts, you've mapped out your plan for the run. You might be willing, you've blocked out that time commitments and you have nothing scheduled, so you are absolutely willing to get up and go for this run. And you're able-bodied, your soft tissue is strong enough that it can handle 2 weeks of unbroken running, and your time is acceptable for your sleep patterns and for your workload. If that sounds like you, that's a fantastic goal. But for some of us, if we have stuff like kids that keep us up at night, so we have to be able to be available for them. If mornings are not our thing, so we're not even willing to get up at that kind of time. And if we don't even have a set of runners and we haven't put our clothes out, we might not be ready for that sort of time. We always run through our goals through the ready, willing, and able. You're aiming to not be a pessimist. You're aiming not to be negative. You're aiming to be rational in that how realistic is the goal. In the nutritional space, it might be something along the lines of you want to start eating more purple vegetables to help you with your nutritional journey. However, you're living out in the boonies and the local shopping center that's closest to you doesn't provide you with a purple vegetable. That's okay. That goal is just not right now appropriate. So we do our best to still get in our vegetable amounts. We just don't have the purple vegetable to add in. All right, team, let's recap. So this week we talked about vitamins and minerals, micronutrients, things that work behind the scenes for us, like the wiring of a car. We talked about the 5 different colors of vegetables. You will be given a sheet to help narrow down some of your options in case you're having trouble deciding which kind of vegetables you like. I want you to make sure that you're ticking off your sheet this week. I need you to fill out what kind of vegetables of each color you like. I need you to fill out still your proteins, still your carbs, and the specific amount of vegetables that I'm going to send you each week. 90% consistency is our goal. Vegetable week is challenging because we have to think about more things. That's not forever, it's just for this week. I want you to try to get 1 serving of each colored vegetable in minimum, but if we can't, for some reason, we don't have access to all the colors, I still want you to try to get in your vegetable serving size because that's your good, better, best. The best case scenario was to get all the vegetable colors in. Our better was to get at least our serving sizes in. Excellent, team, that's enough from me. I'll see you next week when we talk about fats. Enjoy your week, write stuff down, and have some fun.